When Taylor Swift's new album came out, crowds of young people queued up to get a physical copy. That's not unusual for a sequel to a successful film or book. We love the first one so much, we just can't wait to see its successor. Let me tell you of a remarkable sequel. A doctor turned author has dedicated his first book to a high Roman official called Theophilus. Was Theophilus equally excited when in about 80 AD the sequel is published? He begins to read. In the first book, Theophilus, I wrote about all that Jesus began to do and teach until the day when he was taken up to heaven. This first volume is, of course, the Gospel of Luke. Now its sequel is out, the Book of Acts, which continues the saga with the story of the risen Jesus' followers. We heard in today's reading how the second volume begins with the foundation of what in Greek is called the ecclesia, meaning a gathering, or more often used, church. In true film fashion, 50 days later, the Hebrew festival Pentecost is being celebrated, and in Jerusalem is once again packed with pilgrims. Early in the morning, in a large room, a group of about 120 have gathered. They were all together in one place. If we read earlier, we see that they means the apostles who witnessed Jesus' resurrection, members of the Lord's family, including his mother Mary and his brother James, and the key women leaders, Mary Magdalene, Salome, Joanna. Then, something extraordinary happens. Luke struggles to describe the indescribable, so instead he uses images from the Hebrew Bible to tell the story. There is a sound like a rushing, roaring wind. There is a phenomena Luke described as of fire. It's not real wind or fire, but these are powerful symbols of God's active presence. Luke is saying in no uncertain terms that the church is no mere human enterprise. It's a divine creation. The Greek word he uses, pneuma, can mean wind, spirit, or breath. Just as Genesis describes God's breath as bringing creation into being, so now the divine spirit creates a new body of people. The spirit, breath, wind causes the disciples to yell out in strange speech. In his letter to the Corinthians, the Apostle Paul sees this speaking in tongues as the ecstatic language of angels. It's a joyous outpouring of enthusiasm, but doesn't make ordinary sense. Paul doesn't forbid this, but he does remind the Corinthians, I would rather speak 5 words with my mind in order to instruct others than 10,000 words in a tongue. The fact that in Acts many thought the disciples to be drunk would suggest that originally this ecstatic speaking was understood in the same way here. The disciples were babbling as if they'd taken just too many few sips of wine. Luke, however, writing some 30 years after Paul, gives this experience a deeper meaning. His purpose is to show that God is healing the divisions between the peoples. A broken world is being renewed because every ethnic group hears the message in their own language. The list of nations starts from the east and moves to the west. Parthians, Medes and Elamites, and residents of Mesopotamia, Judea and Cappadocia, Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia, Egypt and the parts of Libya belonging to Cyrene. I always feel sorry for the poor soul who gets to read this passage. Pentecost addresses one of the biggest challenges the world faces today. How do we live with our differences? In the Creed, we affirm that we believe in the Catholic Church. Catholic means universal, inclusive of all classes, nations, peoples, and ethnic groups. The Church is not the reserve of one segment, but is for all humanity. It's good and natural to be proud of our own culture and background. But that should never be used as a way of putting down others from different heritages and traditions. Fear divides us from one another. Love unites us, but doesn't steamroll us into being all the same. Pentecost shows that the Spirit speaks all languages. It shows the Lord values our diversity, and so should we. As Bishop Mark Santa has written, sin comes in when difference is turned into division. Amen.